All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Bennett. I'm part of TWC Traders Club, and I like to start doing some videos. Maybe sharing some thoughts. A little easier than typing out, hundreds of words and charts. And although I'll continue to do that, this might be a little easier to kind of maybe help you understand where I'm kind of coming from, and maybe I can also point out some of the targets that I'm also looking at too, a little easier. So I'm just going to dive right in because it might take me a little bit to kind of get through these. I have a few stocks to get through, then some Bitcoin macro looks, a couple of alts there, Pepe and Tia. But let's start with Unity software. This is something that I've looked at quite a while back, where it kind of jumped in this range. We did a little bit of a trade here when it did this ABC, and it didn't work out too well because obviously it broke down. So I just kind of want to point something out here, though. First of all, this is definitely on my radar. Number one, why? Because it's in a big, giant wedge, and I love that. Number two, the wedge has actually got three taps. One, two, and there's one right here, three, before it does the breakout. So that's big. So we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of deal going. Secondly, so when it's in this range, as you can see, it's I know I use black chart, probably drives people nuts with the white candles, but I've been using it for a long time, and it's easier to do it with my eyes. But we were in this long range for a couple years really, and it really was just a distribution essentially because it broke down. But I want you to see something in green here. What do we see here? A couple taps. If I kind of zoom in a little bit. We've got some taps here, right? Kind of broke down and then tapped here again. Then it tapped again, third time, jumped up, hit the top of that distribution range, and then broke down pretty heavily. So that was a big thing to see, right? So then obviously it makes an all-time low. And then right here, it kind of gets interesting, this little local range here, which I'll jump into in a minute. But from there, bottom of the wedge, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 break. So what do we see here? We see, again, the three taps with the breakthrough. Then we see it coming back and retesting. I'm going to go to the daily here for a second. So again, there's the tap of that that support. Then it became a break. Comes down here in this range here, which is really nice. I'll tell you a little bit about this range. Here's what I like about it. Number one, kind of forms a little bit of a Wyckoff, but really what happens though is it goes into, breaks out of it and does like a V pattern, right? So 1, 2, and then kind of 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of does one more, and then it has this like little range here. If I really zoom in, I'm not going to, but what I want to show you is the V pattern going through it and then coming back up and then passing the range really quickly and then coming back down and test it. This is key. This is a big bullish move here, in my opinion. You can actually even see that this is possibly even an inverted head and shoulders, kind of broken up a little bit, but we got the shoulder, the head, and then now another shoulder, and then breaking through the orange dotted line. So the neckline's kind of beat up, and not a big fan of head and shoulders. I know Chris isn't either, because they're a little bit harder to identify a true head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders. But this very well looks like the same similarity of one. So that's big. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is looking good. So I started doing my counts. The 1, 2, I got 1, 2, 3. What do we got here? When we go into our wave 3, Chris talks about this a lot. You got these large candle spread right here, breaking through the orange line, and guess what? Volume 2, so important. This really was the long opportunity. I did not get into it, but it's all good. All good is always going to be a trade, no matter if we miss something or not. We can always look for something later, but this was it. So the 1 down into that EQ of that original range, and then shoots up for wave 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Back into where? What used to be support, now it's resistance. I mean, this is just getting better and better. It hits it a couple times, so it goes down, tries again, comes down, tries again. That's obviously the AB pattern, and then the C coming down for 4. When we hit 4, we basically break through that orange neckline. Okay, that's kind of interesting. That was probably like a shakeout almost, because people are probably thinking, "Oh, it's going to drop down lower." Nope, it doesn't. It actually literally pops back up again very quickly. And if you're trading this, you might not realize that, but we always want to look left. So when we see it coming down, popping up, and then you can see big volume, little volume, and then a much larger candle with like the same amount of volume, but like an engulfing, like all of these really out of this bigger quadrant of candles. That's huge bullish sign. I mean, that's exactly what we want to see. This is showing us that this is trying to reverse from the bottom. This is why I'm bringing this up. So we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm thinking we're getting that 5 here coming up. I don't know if it's right here. I don't know if it's a little bit higher or not. But when I zoom in, this is actually kind of like a 1, 2, and this is the 3, and then look at that little triangle 4. So this is just about there. So I'm liking that as a near or at a 5. It's also kind of where these topping candles are over here in this little smaller range. So that makes sense that it would find some resistance. Now, what we want to see is, since it's 5 up, I'm going to pull in fibs. This on the daily. It's interesting that it's just above the R1. So with the Darth Maul type, could it come down here? Maybe, but when I look at the pivots, when I see this, I'm like, okay, this might have some more upside. This is why you want to be careful of chasing. You start chasing this, you start seeing it going up. Oh, it's going like, no, this is really getting closer to an end, in my opinion. Could I be wrong? 100%. Probably more wrong than right, honestly. But it really does. I'm trying to stick to the LA wave count here. Maybe it goes here. Maybe even it goes a little higher, like it really pitches out and then bam, it gets shot down. So that's what I'm expecting. Doesn't have to happen, but it's what I'm expecting. And if that's the case right now, if I see a pullback, because this is kind of a leading diagonal, we'll look for that pivot, which is also really the green line is what I'm looking for. So I like how the pivot lines up right with this green. So I can, see this kind of coming down, do a wick down, and then that's our key entry point, or that's going to be my entry point. I always got MAs. I don't trade MAs, but I do like to see them. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Because moving averages, the average of the price is actually moving up, and it is definitely crossing here. So that's nice. So when I see this pull back and I see the red it's probably going to move its way up, right? Because the price is probably going to pull back into that and probably bounce near it, and then that's going to continue the 50-day over the 200. So again, I'm not trading the MAs, but I'm definitely having them out there because it's a good visual for me. It's what I've been using, and I've liked it. I like it a lot, and I really like it on the daily and the 12-hour on larger time frames. Okay. Because I'm looking for a larger reversal, kind of going back to that weekly look. So, these moving averages are important. So we got that, the golden cross or whatever you want to call them. I don't really care what they're named. I just know that we got that 50 kind of moving up. And then that green is going to probably start rolling with it eventually. So the green is on the 200. So anyway, that's kind of my look here. This is a big one. This is on the radar for me for stocks. I don't trade a lot of stocks, but I definitely like to jump in some when there's good opportunity. So we'll look for a down. I'll be kind of updating everybody, but we'll look for that pullback here, 50%, maybe 382, depending on, where things are kind of moving around, or some bigger candles here. But there's this, like I said, this green, we hope to be support after all these taps. So that's you. We want to keep that in mind. Okay. Roblox, we are still in this. This is the weekly look. I want to start by the weekly because I wanted to show you what I was seeing. So my kid plays Roblox, by the way. So, but I always had it on my my list. I have tons of stock and tons of crypto, obviously. And I saw this, and then I saw this, and I was like, wait a minute. And then right around here, the B2C range, can't remember exactly, but I was like, there's a range happening here. So I drew it up, and this is weekly, obviously. So this is August of 22. So this is obviously a long range. But even better, when you got these long-term ranges like 2-3 years and they're really just doing this, but they're starting to kind of gradually, the bottoms are going up, right? But look at the top, 1 tap, 2 taps, virtually 3 taps. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is solid. So I'm going to kind of do that a little bit. So look, 1, A, B, C, 1, 2, and here we go. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that, you know, this was that spring. This is that last point of support. If it's Wyckoff, which it very well looks like. Here's another one where I like the 1 tap up, break down the EQ, but then hit the what? Weekly S1 all day long. That was my key point of like, okay, guys, we have something here for sure. It went to the pivot, and I believe that's where we were kind of entering because it was holding the pivot. I was like, oh, this is it, right? Then it broke down, but it's okay because I almost did another buy. I just missed it, honestly. Sometimes I'm sure you all do this where you got something and then you forget to look at it for a few days. Well, it was only a couple weeks and it's right back over the pivot. So I'm like, oh well, it's all good. But so I will say that, you know, with this tap here and then it coming through and then tapping the EQ again, another bullish structure that's kind of like the same inverted kind of head and shoulders look. I always like those because that's kind of giving me the indication that we're coming in hot again and people are starting to really move this thing up and it's not really coming down. So, you know, and I'm going to show you a local count here in a second, but you can see here, and then what does it do? One more time to the pivot, boom, wicks it, and then boom, blast off. The biggest key point here for entry, honestly, is actually this here. Because I'm gonna tell you why. It passes this this resistance line. I just highlighted it, but here it is again. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, blows through it. Good volume, even better candle. Retest it. I mean, all day. I'll take that all day. That's a nice one. I mean, you can go right here. You can put your stop loss here, but honestly, this is exactly what you want to see. So if you, you know, I don't know who's in this. I'm in this trade because we got here. Here's our first entry down here. I plan on probably jumping a little bit more into this because I actually see this longer term. But I want to tell you, if you didn't get into this, it's okay because there might be an opportunity here. I'm gonna go to the daily real quick. I don't want this video to be too long. So got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. I like that. And what does it do? I pull fibs back to the 50, right on the money, right back into 4. Sweet, love it. 1, 2, 3 gap. Ooh, man, she's getting more and more bullish as she goes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and guess what? Working on that 5. So that the orange 1, 2, okay, that's the 1, 2 of 3. This is a inner 1, 2, and this is even a smaller inner 1, 2. So that's pretty much as far as I'm going on the count. I'm not going to keep going, but I mean, we're at this point, we're going to really start. This is wave 3, which it really looks like this. This is going to really actually take off. In my, you know, these are the inner wave 3 counts, but here's the larger one up here. I've been saying $84 is kind of my minimum expected, but dude, $100 is a possibility for sure on this. And it's only at, you know, it's at $60, you know, so right now, and we got it at 41. So we're sitting nice right now. Even at this point, we're sitting nice. I mean, it's good, but I'm gonna, like I said, I really believe in this. I do have a stop loss down here, obviously, just in case. I think it's right here at this 2, because that would, you know, invalidate all this. But because where it's at on the pivots, because by the way, if you're not using pivots, jump them in. Like, you got to have this because this is exactly why. I got a 1, 2, 3 bigger candle, right? I'm thinking that if I'd have the pivots on, it might actually look like I'm done, right? It might look like I'm about done here. So I might be like, okay, maybe I'm thinking short or something or whatever. But look, but if you have the pivots on, this is why it just helps you so much. You're like, wait a minute, no, I pushed through R1, R2, holding R2. The chances are actually looking at R4, even R5. Okay, it's $67. Pretty nice, right? I mean, I could jump out and it would be a nice, that's a huge gain there. But I'm thinking this is a 5 and it's actually going to come down and probably going to pump some more in when it comes down. So I think that we're going to have a little bit of a correction here soon. My guess corrections are probably coming in January. Makes sense. There's a lot of money being made. October, November is obviously crushing it. December feels like people are starting to take more money off the table, and that's why I feel like we're going to probably have this correction. That's just my guess. I don't, no crystal ball here, but you never know. So just real quickly before I jump out of here, this is what I would do. I would just take it from this 2, after we get our 5 and pull some more fibs, and like this is why I'm thinking like where 50's at, right in the middle of that 4, so I could see it. I mean, I could see it hitting 68. I could see it hitting right around 65. So, once we kind of verify that, and then we'll look for a pullback, and then I'll probably say, all right, everybody, I'm putting my second entry right around $50. That's my guess right now. That's not, obviously financial advice to anybody. That's what I'm gonna do, and then roll with it, because I'm looking at that larger target. I'm looking at 84. I'm looking at 100. For wave 3, and then possibly 5 going up and beyond that. So that's where I'm at with Roblox, and that's why I've been bullish, and that's why I posted the trade. So I hope everyone's kind of stoked on that too. You can see here going back. There's my 3, there's my 4, and then there's where my 5's at, and look where my 5's at, right at the top. So that'd be a nice little run there, going back there. So to the top, and the top's my goodness, 152. That's very well in the cards. 152. We came in at $40. Easy. I mean, not saying it's easy money, but it's definitely learning the chart and not following the news or whatever, and and using that as your tool and using these charts. This is why we teach these things. This is why we teach Elliott Wave, Wyckoff. I mean, I'm using them all right here. Wyckoff, Elliott Wave, using pivots. We got the new Fisher. Chris brought this up. It's awesome. Got some curl in here. Got she's getting a little bit large here, and on the RSI, that's okay. I'm not worried about it because it could be up there for a bit, and I'm not. I mean, this move could be pretty quick too, right? Like I said, it's going to be boom and then boom. It's not going to take long, in my opinion, to get to 3. I don't think so. That's Roblox. STEM. This one is really, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough because it's been obviously just getting crushed for its whole entirety, its whole life. But man, boy, does this not look like a double bottom right now? I mean, it really does. We really obviously need to see a pop. We should see a pop, but boy, does it look good as a double bottom. That's the weekly. That was our entry, and right now I think we're like break even. It's really nothing. I'm not worried about that though. I'm worried about this was a long-term hold. Whenever I post something and it's on like the daily or weekly as a trade, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it, as a weekly trade. Now, I will tell you this, I do want to know what's happening. So I will go into, lower time frames to kind of get an idea, get excited, or be like, ooh, maybe I'm wrong here. And this is where this comes into play. So just real quickly, there's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got this really big correction. The correction was large. It came down almost like the whole entire wave. So that's obviously troublesome a little bit, but it went into what looks to be a Wyckoff accumulation. And I'll tell you, I'll take that all day. I don't care how low it comes down. If it goes into this kind of structure, I mean, I'll take this. I'm loving this right now. So right now, I'm looking at this as Wyckoff accumulation still. That has not changed. And we have the, selling climax, automatic retest. And then we have this. You guys know I love wedges, right? But look at that, a wedge within a wedge. Okay. This is big. Okay, this is big. You got a wedge, and you got another wedge. It's like compact wedge. If you guys ever notice, I'll use a teal like almost a blue, a teal colored dotted line. That's not. I use that as like a compacting price. So like, that's what's kind of happening here. Like when it was happening, and then right here it goes into the spring. Look at these, like, right, it hits this. Look at the volume. I mean, the volume is crazy. I mean, you guys should know. Most of you guys know Wyckoff now, but look at the spike here on that one, and nothing. Nobody shows up to the party, right? Boom, breaks out of my just minor, small little wedge in the bigger wedge, pops out of the bigger wedge, and off the races. So that gives us our first 1-2 of the start of larger wave 3. So this is early, and this is a slow roller because we're looking at this on the weekly. So again, but it would be kind of nice to find a spot to add a little bit more to the bag. I don't mind. I mean, who wants to not add more to the bag at a good level? So I'm looking at that. I'm actually like truly looking at that, but right here, I was kind of wondering if this was a 5 up or if this was a flat. And I'm starting to think that this might be the 5 up, and then we still got the ABC. And I know Chris talks about this 0.705 level, institutional level. It might tap that and then go, and that would be cool because that would almost be a Wyckoff in a Wyckoff right here. And what does that mean is I got the larger range, but then it goes into the smaller range, and that would be like a spring. So like if I were to draw another range here, I know I got tons of tools on here. Probably drives you guys crazy. Probably wondering, like, how does this guy read this stuff? Throw it in white. Like that, right? So we're kind of doing this. Yeah, and see how it's battling with the EQ. So if it comes down, taps at 705, I hope I catch that. Probably throw a little more into it and hope to see if it springs out. That's my thought. And guess what? Guess what 705 is? Man, this is gonna drive you guys so crazy right now. This is so funny. Right around here. Oops. See, like this little area here. Little supply action. Supply and demand structures are nice. I'll probably put it right there, somewhere right around there. You guys get the point. So back to the S1, but this is the weekly. These pivots are going to change. I'm not looking at pivots right now. Not in this case, but yeah. So my guess is we get that one more pop. I'm gonna watch volume here and see what happens with volume. If it comes out of it, I'm like, okay, we got the spring, we got the C, and then we're looking for this, and we're looking for jump across the creek at that point because we're getting there. So that creek's like doing some kind of wave or whatever you want to call it, and through here, and we're looking to jump that. That's the ideal situation. She keeps breaking down, then I gotta tell you, probably out. Okay, this is the line in the sand here almost for me. I'm not, because we're already close to the lows. So this was a big one. We start coming back down here again. Yeah, then maybe stem's not the call. I don't know, but right now she's looking like a good call. So anyway, hopefully that helps you guys there. That's where I'm at mentally on stem. 24 minutes, goodness. You can see why Chris always is like, oh my gosh, the time. All right. I want to quickly show the 3-day Bitcoin here chart. I've posted this before. I love this chart. I love it. When all the craziness is happening, right? 100K drops down, $10,000 freaking 4-hour candle, whatever it was. I don't know, but back out to this guy, you know what I mean? Or back out to something similar to this that just kind of shows you like, okay, it's really not the end of the world. It's not. And it's a Darth Maul candle. It's not even a big deal. I mean, we had a couple, I think I seen one over here. Yeah, this is 3-day. So there's one right here too. You know what I'm saying? And look what it did. I mean, yeah, it pulled back a little bit, but what did it do after that? It went to the moon. Well, not the moon. That's number 3. It's not really a moon. But yeah, I just want to show you what I like about this. Obviously, number one, I color coordinated because I like showing that this was a good time to buy, and this was also a good time to buy. And think about it, you know, it's emotions are thinking like, oh, that's it, it's coming down. Everyone's thinking, right? Twitter, maybe not us because TWC, you know what's up, but a lot of people on Twitter were like, oh, it's coming down to 30, you know, whatever. And I think, yeah, okay, sure. But really, that was the time. So I color coordinated because look, you know, look at all those opportunities to buy. Buy. These are all 3 days. Right? Now it's popping up again. I'm not saying don't buy anymore, but I mean, you know, that was a great spot. That was a great spot, you know. And Chris has literally talked about these areas. Well, here's a color coordinated map that shows you exactly why. But I want to show you this. This is actually a channel. This is a cool. You guys should do this. A channel within a channel. Maybe you do this. It takes a minute. You got to line it up with the EQ. But what it also does is it's kind of like a pitchfork. But you know, the pitchfork's always kind of funky to me. But this kind of helps me because I want to see like what else is happening, because you can actually see an inner channel within the channel. So it comes out of it and it comes back in. I always like that. I always think that's cool. It helps me kind of understand, especially when it comes back into it. Then you'll know like, oh, this is, you know, there's really movement happening here. But look at this EQ. I mean, talk about support resistance line. It's the strongest of them all, right? Is the EQ. Well, where are we at right now? We're right above the EQ. We broke through it. Nice candle. See right here, resistance. Right here, broke through. I mean, everyone's like freaking out, you know, shorting it. Okay, maybe you shorted a scalp short, but right now you're not thinking it's short yet, right? You shouldn't be. You know, if we start seeing this coming down and breaking through this pivot, maybe okay, maybe you get short, and then but look at more supports here. S1, you know what I mean? Like there's not a whole lot. This is a bouncing range area, but it's holding up on it, and it actually almost basically tapped it. So I mean, that's a go. That's still a go here, in my opinion. Now what it could do, and I don't want to get too much into the weeds here, but it could do this. It could just kind of float around it for a while. Look how long that took. That was a couple months, right? I mean, this doesn't have to just shoot up to like, you know, 150. This could literally just kick it here, go to about 115, 120, and then kind of come back to the EQ, back to 100, float around for 100 a little bit. That's still a nice pullback. You know, 120 to 100,000. That's a lot of, you know, that's a big pullback right there. You know, everyone will be freaking out, but so just pull a chart like this and just kind of help you out, zoom out a little bit, take a chill, you know, if it's kind of freaking you out, especially if you're new. And you only trust me, like me, I lived off Twitter for charting. It was terrible. Okay, so I know how emotions can get to you. And I'm a little emotional still now, but it's not even close. Not even close how I used to be. I will say last thing before I go to the next chart. Gosh, it's almost 30 minutes. I played around this idea. I don't know if anyone said like even understood what I was saying, but what if like this was actually somehow a 1, 2, 3, and this was like 3 or here, and this was 5, and this is actually a 1, 2. Boy, could you imagine? Because you can actually figure that this could be your 1 right here. This is actually a 1. Hold on one sec, buddy. Oh, that's Wyatt. That's my little guy right there. Hold on one sec. Hold on, I'm on the phone, okay? I'll be right there. Give me 5 more minutes. Shut the door, please, buddy. Yeah, everything I do is for him. How was I at? Oh yeah, what if this was like a 1, 2, and this was actually your 3, 4, but it was like more of a who knows, maybe a flat, or I don't know. Because here's one thing that I noticed when you look at ETFs. It's only a 1, 2 on ETFs. It's just starting. It's 3, and this looks like to be starting in, you know, it's 5. So there's a weird thing that I had where I was thinking like, gosh, is this literally somehow a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I don't know. It doesn't look like it. It just really does look like 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's just an interesting thought. Hold on one second. Let me shut the door. if you guys don't mind, I want to show you. I want to share with you what if you didn't understand what this was, what I was talking about here, I just want to quickly show you. And if you're like, I already saw this, Andrew, I'm going to keep telling me about it, then just skip through this part. But this is what I say, historical. When I see you guys hear me saying about historical data on Bitcoin, this is what I mean. I mean, this is from the beginning of Bitcoin, where it was like, pennies. Okay, there's the halving in orange. Exactly a year later is the top. Okay, first halving, first top, bear market. What I did was I realized I thought there's a pattern here. So what I did is I pulled extensions to 1618 and this 2272. So I pulled it here again, and sure enough, at the year mark or just a month after, it hits it again. But what does it do? It extends, and then it hits it at the 2272. Awesome. So it had an extension there, halving to peak extension. Do it again, halving, peak, extension, 618 again. It literally does it 3 times in a row and actually extends twice. Okay. So look, 1, 2, 3 times in a row. So why would we not think that this could happen again? I mean, this is literally showing us 3 times in a row, and look what it's doing. It looks like the same thing again. Now this is interesting, because if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, this is a 5, then we're probably going to come down pretty substantial if this happens, right? Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 then, because if this is right, so something is either going to be off here, or this is going to actually put us into something a lot bigger than we might be thinking about. But I'm not trying to go into some conspiracy. What I'm trying to show you is that that's why I have April, which was funny. It was talked about today on the Friday show with Fibbo and Chris about April. I think he said March or April. Someone asked him that question. Well, there's the 618 at one. It's about 172. Okay. The extension goes to about September, and an extension would possibly give us that 2272 level. Well, that would be, in my opinion, if that goes there, that's going to be a blow off top. That's probably going to be a gnarly candle, because that's $556,000. I mean, so here's what I'm saying. If it hits that, I mean, talk about it coming down. It can go down like, could you imagine a drop of $200,000? Like, holy crap. That would be 50% though. We've seen it have 50% pullbacks. So if it goes in the 400,000 range and it has a 50% pullback, oh boy, people are going to be freaking out. That's a lot of money. But in a percentage wise, it's as crazy as it sounds, it's normal Bitcoin. So anyway, I just want to explain that to you. Up top here, if you've ever wondered why I have this up here, it's an inverted RSI. This is my bullish look of being bearish, if that makes any sense. Every time it's gone into this red, so I'm waiting for it to come into red, and guess what? It looks like it's going. Sure enough, right? Right into the blue, right into the blue. I mean, the pattern stuff here is wild. Arrows up here, look at this. Arrow, arrow, arrow. Look at that. RSI curling, right? Excuse me. RSI here, is kind of high. This is curling. It actually matches this RSI a little bit more. And then now the new one, the Fisher one, also kind of like in the curl mode. But we're talking about the monthly here, so I'm not too worried about. That's slow pace. So again, this could just be like, green candle, then maybe a pullback January, and like a little bit bigger February, then a big March, and a big April, and then like a May, and then June, July, August. Who knows? June, July, August. I'm gonna tell you guys, load up some cash. Load up the cash. I think that's going to be also going to go bananas. Also going to go bananas, guys. I mean, if this is going to pop like to who knows what, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but it sure does feel like that. Okay, that's my Bitcoin macro. 35 minutes in. Pepe. A lot of people have been asking about Pepe. I love Pepe. You guys know, I think I've been trading Pepe because it's just so fun. I want to share you that I had this triangle, been waiting on it. I know someone asked me about it today. Still think it's a triangle. And I actually do think Yeah, we got a 1, 2, 3 little triangle and then a 4 here. So it looks like we got a 1, 2. So I'm gonna tell you guys right now, there's a good chance I'm probably going into this soon. And so, but I'll tell you right now, we got to get past this green, right? This has been resistance. This has been pretty bad resistance, and you know you can even pull it this way if you wanted to. If I can actually do it, I'll just do an arrow. Yeah, see that? And you kind of, you know, back and forth, and then wham. So, you know, we need to. It's really that though. So, you know, we could maybe find something down here, but we really want to get out of this, okay? And I'll tell you guys right now, this is big for me because it's hard to not see this and see it kind of coming up here. Excuse me. And then want to get in right there, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. That happens to me. I'll be like, oh, here we go, and I'll kind of jump in early, but I'm not seeing that it's pushing through. And then look what it's doing. And that's when you're like, oh, you hit your shot. That's what happens. You get exhausted from it, right? You think it's going to come through. You buy here and buy here. You're like, oh my gosh. And what happens is it finally does pull through, and you're like, I missed it because it exhausted you, right? So it's important. It's even here too. It's important to let it go through and then get in. Okay. Like when it comes up to here, like, but you better be seeing something coming up because you start seeing struggling, then just hold off, right? Maybe it takes another day or two. Okay. So, because I thought one point we thought this might have been E. I was thinking, oh, this was E, right? But I was looking at it and I was like, you know, feeling this. And count was kind of weird, and then wham, it came back down. And then but see this though. Here's what I like. I'll show you this one more thing before I go to Tia. It V's, V, right? But then it's really a V here. But so remember I was telling you about how kind of the inverse Head and Shoulders idea. Well, what are we doing here? We're gonna get 1, 2, 3, and wham. That's kind of my thought. Okay. And so I'm going to pull fibs. You can do it. I mean, if you're going to get crazy with it, you can go into 15-minute, or like data, he'll go like to 1 minute. That guy's awesome. I'm at 382 right now, so I'm not even at 50 yet. So I want it to come down a little bit. I wouldn't actually be pissed if it came to the pivot. Really, it's fine because look, see there's some support right there. There's like a little bit of wham there, so that's nice. That was good price action, good volume. People were buying right here. They saw this and like, we're buying here, right? So if it comes down right here, that's people are asking about Pepe. You're looking at right here. If you come down here to pivot, you know what I mean? You know, put your stop loss under this swing low right here, right? Sounds good. So that's what I'm watching. I'll leave that up. And then from there, if this is all like literally a triangle wave forward, then we got some movement up for sure. You know, we got some movement up coming up. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Last but not least, Tia. So I entered the trade here. I posted about it, and then I literally was telling you guys, and you can see the updates. I was saying, okay, I'm taking more out here, and I was moving the stop loss up. It's actually still going because I think my stop loss was here and it didn't go under that. So because it's only 25 or 20% left, there's not a lot left. But you know, at this point, see how we're getting rejected to this orange? There's a really good chance that although I have 3 here, this might be 3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 3. Okay, so 5 waves for 3. So what that means is that this could be here. And this might be like down here. Okay. Maybe right there. S1 area. So it's interesting. You know, if we're gonna get a sudden movement down, then something's got to happen with Bitcoin. That's usually the case. So I don't know. We'll just kind of keep an eye on that. But I'm not 100% convinced there yet. But I'm starting to get that way. So I don't know. That's kind of wrong because I could see this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for 3 here because the fib pulls extensions are good. So and then this was kind of like a short 4 though. So maybe there's a flat here somewhere. I don't know. I don't want to mess around too much with it and sit here counting all day. But this also looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's interesting. That could be the 1 of 5 up here. So, it's getting rejected at this R1 again. But honestly, though, if I look at it there, it's kind of trying to hold up there. So, interesting level that it's at. It's definitely an interesting level. But if it comes down, let it come down, maybe back to the pivot again, because it's like back and forth, back and forth. But then that's probably the long, and then it's probably go to 5. Okay, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Okay, that is it, my friends. You can see I got a ton of different coins. You guys want to start doing this more often? I'm totally down for this. You want to throw some coins my way? I like it to be on the list. My list is who knows how long. But if you got some coins that are a little bit off, or maybe they're just not ones that don't post a lot, that's fine too. I'll try to help you out, and we can talk about it. But it's a little easier when I already have it charted, obviously. Please let me know what you think about this video and what you think of this idea, and does this maybe help? Because I know Fibo does this, and I saw Vince was doing this too, and I think it's really cool. And it's not just me like throwing a couple lines and wedges. I'm like, there's a lot more to it. I'm sure you guys know that, but I think if I talk it out, then you're like, oh, okay, that might help you, because I want you guys to see the entries like I do, meaning, I'll post an entry, and then you guys might not see it right away, right? You might be like, oh man, Andrew made that entry like 4 hours ago, like it's already kind of gone up or whatever in a good perfect world. So you might be like, man, I missed that. I don't want you to miss it. I want you to like kind of be with me. So I figured if we're kind of like on Tia together or Pepe, right? Maybe you guys might kind of see how I'm seeing it. So when I'm doing the post, you're like, I'm already in that too, or something similar to that. That's my goal. It's not my goal to be the only guy trading on it, because I could just do that on my own. I want other people to, and again, you should also be learning obviously how to do this with Chris. That's why where I'm at now. It's the same thing. But maybe if you're new and you see all this information, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is so much for me to learn. First of all, just don't worry about it. Take your time, because it's going to come to you. But secondly, maybe like things like this where you have some key levels and you're like, oh, okay, I think I know where Andrew's looking at now for Pepe, for example. And that might help you out. So anyway, it's really cool to do this. I'm excited that this keeps moving forward, which I believe it will. I hope you guys really enjoy this, and let me know what you think. Please throw me some comments, even if it's like, hey, it's cool, or hey, I don't like it, or maybe like, hey, can you change your chart color? It's going to be tough. I've had to change your chart color. I've had black for so long. Anyway, take care, everyone, and we'll see you out there in the TWC world. All right.